everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. Thanks for joining us. As we navigate business and technology, one thing becomes very evident and clear. The future belongs to those who can adapt and evolve. Today, we're talking about the concept of a future-focused workforce. Join us now, award-winning business expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author, Meridith Elliott Powell. Thanks so much for joining us, Meridith.
I'm excited to be here and excited to talk about this topic.
I am too. I want to hear so much more. So let's start with the basics. What is future-focused workforce?
You know, I coined that phrase a little while ago when CEOs and business owners were really saying to me, you know, this is such a world that is moving so rapidly. Change is happening so fast. We need our teams to be thinking more about the future and not about just doing the job that they have right now, but what they need to be doing to evolve their skills to be successful a year from now. So it really is a workforce that is focused on success in the present moment, but also constantly evolving, learning, and growing and building their skills for what's coming next.
So what are some strategies that organizations can implement to create this workplace?
Yeah, number one is I think that leaders in these work environments need to set the tone of a lot of learning and development, encouraging people to be working on their skill sets and thinking about the changes that are coming in the marketplace. We use a great tool for this called a skeptic that is basically a brainstorming session to start to think about how is society changing? How's technology changing? What's happening with competition? And what do we need to be doing now to be prepared for the future?
And I imagine there are some challenges that come with trying to create this type of future-focused workplace.
Yeah, you know, employees are a little adverse to change, and we get into a situation, into our job, and we really don't like to change. Now, I kind of have a theory around why that is, and something I think leaders can do is people don't like change because they feel change is pushed upon them. You need to start including people in the change process rather than telling them what they need to change. Ask them, how could we change? What thing, bring them along and give them some control in the process.
We see a lot of things popping up about AI, and obviously it is looking like the future, let's say that. Yeah. How does that play a part in the workforce?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think AI is a great place to start having a discussion right now. AI is fantastic. I mean, if you're not using it in your workplace, you should find ways to use it, but it will never replace human connection. So I think, you know, rather than thinking it's going to replace employees, what it's going to do is evolve the roles of employees. You know, even though AI can do some critical thinking, it still never replaces the empathy and things that employees have today. So start having those discussions about what are roles that AI could fill, and then how does that evolve our workforce to take those next steps? It's not here today, so you have the time, the resources to start thinking about how you're going to adapt those things into your workplace.
What other tools and resources do you recommend?
You know, I really recommend the fact that you really do need to be engaging the workforce in a regular process of discussion about the changes that are coming. Another tool I think that you need to be doing is talking a lot to your customers. The businesses that are going to grow are the ones that are really focused on solving the right problems. And think about where we are today. I mean, you know, the marketplace is going to look very different in the next 6 months and different again 6 months from now. So you really need to have your pulse on what the customer is thinking, what they're worried about, and repositioning your products and services to solve those problems. It's not so much focused on the products that we sell anymore, more focused on the solutions and the value that we offer.
What about, you know, there's so many jobs that have evolved, right? Like we're talking about, and into hybrid jobs or remote jobs. And then you've got some people that are going back into the office. How do you increase that future-focused workforce strategy amongst those individuals, because you have them kind of scattered all over?
Yeah, you know, that is such a hot topic right now. I mean, we all went into this remote, and now we're seeing such a push to come back into the office. The situations that I really see that are working the best are where leaders are kind of striking the balance, asking people to come in 2 or 3 days a week and then giving them some flexibility in their work schedule. Why do you need to come into the office? Because the truth is, if I'm going to learn to do your job, there's so much value in me being shoulder to shoulder with you and sitting by you and in you knowing my name and the expertise that I bring to the table. At the same time, it's not the same world that it was even 4 or 5 years ago. And I can work from anywhere. I can work at 8 o'clock at night. I can work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I think kind of striking that balance. But I do believe there is value in people who want to move forward in the organization. If they want to be future leaders, they need to come into the office and see how things are done and work alongside some of the leaders that are there. The other thing that I'm going to say I think is really important is that leaders need to be engaging young people more and more, not even so much for the fact that you want to see them be future leaders, but their view of technology, their view of what the consumer wants today, their view of convenience. It's so radically different than the world that leaders in their 50s and 60s came up with. And getting that global perspective is very important in today's marketplace.
And how do you suggest they do that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of focus groups, and I think asking people for their ideas and opinions. I always say to the leaders that I work with, stop being tell direct and start being question direct. Learn to lead through the power of the question and ask people for their ideas and opinions. Now, we all know that sometimes people are going to have stupid ideas and opinions, but that's okay, because that's your opportunity to coach, understand how they're thinking and what they're thinking, and help shape them into leaders. It's a lot better to include people in the process rather than try to top-down train them to do what you want them to do.
What advice and final thoughts do you have for entrepreneurs or small business owners, that are trying to expand today? What advice do you have for them?
I'd say the biggest piece of advice is you really need to focus on being productive, not being busy. The name of the game in today's marketplace, margins are so skinny. Time is, it's so tight. You've really got to know what works to make your marketplace grow. You really need to have a keen understanding of where you're wasting time. And you need to throw some new things into the mix now and then. I call the strategy shed fast and keep moving, but I advise my clients every quarter to basically review the quarter and ask themselves, what did we do that made money? What do we need to do more of? Where did we waste time? What strategies should we stop doing? And what are some things that we should try? It's funny, we used to do these things once a year to try to do that, focus on productive versus busy. Every couple of months is where you need to be focused now, because we are just living in a rapidly shifting marketplace.
When you make those types of decisions and you're talking to upper level management, do you ever, feel the recommendation or the need to recommend that they reach down to some of the people who were driving the success and money, maybe like the sales team?
Absolutely. I think the more inclusive the leadership is, what a great question on your part, because where I feel like leaders, executive level leaders, lose out is the moment that you move into the C-suite. If it has been a long time since you have touched a customer, heard a customer complaint, gone on a sales call, seen what happens in the billing department, you've lost perspective of really what is working in your company. So I suggest to my C-suite leaders, at least a couple of times a year, get out of the C-suite, go on a sales call, handle a customer complaint yourself, go hang out in the billing department. You need to really see what's going on in the division so you can make better decisions yourself.
I agree with you. And I think that makes the best leaders in the long run.
I agree. Years ago, JetBlue used to have this strategy. I loved it. I don't know if they do it anymore, but once a year, the executives had to leave their offices and actually go into the field and implement the strategies that they had created at executive level. And sometimes they found out those processes and systems weren't very good.
I bet. Well, it's a reality check. There's so many meetings that happen and things happen at the upper level, but then there's like reality and the boots on the ground and what's really happening. So Meridith Elliott Powell, thank you so much. Award-winning business expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. Thank you so much for your time today and your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank all of you for watching.